A lot of people think we're investors in multifamily dwellings. We are not. We are successful investors in multifamily dwellings. There's a big difference.
There's a huge difference. Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, the chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Mr. Stenziano, how we doing, bro?
Always making it happen, big man. I got the Sherp on today. We're about to expose our guest to the Sherp. Big things are happening. Hey, before we get this kicked off, let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsor. Gino, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. I know that you've been hard at work helping Jake and Gino students do just that using our framework. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
Guys, we've been hard at work growing our community of like-minded investors, and the results of our members has been nothing short of incredible. We're looking to grow this amazing group. What we're looking for is those who want to follow our proprietary framework that we've created. Buy right, manage right, and finance right. Leverage our connections, education, and mentorship as ways to take your business to the next level.
So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become a part of our amazing community, apply to work with us at jakeandgino.com/apply. All right, today's guest is the king of sales, Jeffrey Gitomer. Jeffrey is the author of 15 best-selling books. I got him here. I don't even have enough hands to get them all up. He is a creative, on-the-edge writer and speaker whose expertise on sales, customer loyalty, and personal development is world-renowned. He's the host of the Sell or Die podcast with his co-host, Jennifer Gluckow. Jeffrey was also inducted into the National Speaker Association's Hall of Fame. G-Dad, we got to get you in there at some point. Simply put, he is the king of sales. So without further ado, Jeffrey, welcome back to the show.
Dudes, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Dudes are making it happen.
It's Tuesday that feels like Monday.
Hey.
And because it's the first day after the Martin Luther King Day, which, by the way, I have a tradition every year. I watch the I Have a Dream speech on Martin Luther King's birthday because as a speaker, I consider it the best speech ever given.
So let's break it down. Why is it the best speech ever written?
First of all, he's in front of somewhere between 250,000 and 500,000 people. You can't screw that one up.
Mm-hmm. You could, but you don't want to.
Correct that day.
Yeah. Second of all, it was delivered in the 60s when there was nothing. 8-track recording hadn't even been invented yet. So there was no stereo or anything. It was just projected voice. I don't know how he gave the speech, whether it was memorized or not. You can't quite tell if it's memorized or not memorized.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't say, I have a dream until he's 11 minutes into a 14-minute speech. And it's so inspirational. It's so, first of all, it doesn't hurt anybody. He's not downing anybody. It has a positive impact to it and a positive message to it, even though he's issuing a challenge. I love the line where the check comes back, insufficient funds. I love that. And he was the master of the word of his time. He was certainly the master of his generation with respect to his culture and to African Americans living in America. He was world renowned, and people came of every race and creed to listen to that speech. There were no fights. There was no arrests. There was 250,000, 500,000 people, no violence. Think about that today.
Mm-hmm. Can I jump in and make a quick statement?
Yeah.
Because you're hitting on something that I think is so key, and I guess what I'm saying is I wish people that were in politics could hear this, because I think the politician that finds a way to bring people together and cuts the bullshit with all this political divide is going to hit a home run and go on a serious run streak. And I'm sick of the divide. So you're resonating with me with what you're saying right now.
And what he challenged the civil rights movement, and then the bill got passed. So it wasn't like he gave a speech and it was an empty result. He gave a speech and it happened. And you can argue for better or for worse. You can argue what's the, what, but he was the beginning of the movement that made the change happen. And I just have ultimate respect for what he did and who he was.
So Jeffrey, what does it take to become an orator like that? Because you don't become an overnight sensation. He must have 20, 30, 40 years to get that skill, right?
It's pretty interesting that you would ask that. If you listen to any female singer who sang doo-wop in the 50s, they started the same place Martin Luther King started, in church on Sunday. And he became the orator by giving sermons and then by giving speeches and developing his philosophy, his core philosophy, his character, the charisma that he had. And maybe he had the gift of charisma, but he certainly was able to deliver on a regular basis. And that he had probably given 1,000 speeches before that, maybe more. So he had his 10,000 hours in before he had to give that speech. It's not like, well, today's my first speech and I'm a little nervous. No, he went out there and belted it out. And he did it because he had the experience. And I believe he wrote the speech himself.
So Jeffrey, what I'm hearing from you is that I need to go to church on Sunday, get on an altar and start preaching multifamily and saying, I have a dream.
that all families will live in a building that I own.
I need to continue this because I need to get better at my oratory ability, and I need to be able to connect with people, and I want to be able to persuade people, because it's just enough not to say, hey, I've got this building with a 10% cash on cash, and you start losing people like that.
This is what I would do. And this is what I did in Charlotte when I arrived here is I started to speak for free. Mm-hmm. I went to Kiwanis clubs and Rotary clubs and Optimist clubs and Pessimist clubs, and I talked about what we've learned from our children. I gave a 20-minute talk on unconditional love, on blind faith, on all the things that a kid does, and I would give the handout out, and then people would hire me to come to their company to pay me to give the speech. So I spoke for free and then got paid. You need to go to those clubs if you're trying to get better at speaking and say, how do you earn money? Because most people make the mistake of how do you make money? The difference between making money and earning money. And that is the title of your speech. What's the difference between making money and earning money?
By the Wright brothers.
By the right brother. But it's by the Wright brothers, but I'm Gino Wright and you're Jake Wright.
That's right.
Just have Wright as your middle name.
Mm-hmm. So what other characteristics do you see as being a good orator? I mean, I like the fact that he has his own character.
There's only one way to become a great orator. This is pretty interesting. Film yourself every time you speak and watch it.
I've done that a lot.
It's the most painful thing on the planet.
You should see our first.
You're fat. You don't speak right. Your jokes didn't go over, whatever it was. But take notes. Like watch it, but take notes about, coach yourself about what you're never going to do again. I gave a 3-hour speech when I first moved to Charlotte on how to make money at a trade show, and I gave it to a Chamber of Commerce in Gastonia, and they put it on VHS. And I got the VHS when it was done. It was horrible. I mean, it was just horrendous. So I sat there and I watched it twice. I made notes the second time about what I would never do in a speech again or what I need to do in a speech. And I carried that list of 20 things or 30 things with me for 3 years. And every time I gave a talk, I'd take the list out, open it up, and put it on the table in front of me. The challenge that you have is you're looking for somebody to give you advice when all the advice you need is on video. You see where you suck. You see what your hand gestures are, what they're supposed to be. And when you come to Charlotte, bring me one of your speeches and I'll at least coach you.
Mm-hmm. So
that'll be part of your amazing fee for the day.
I need to ask you about sales, though. Isn't sales? I mean, weren't you already a great salesman and you sucked at speaking? So how are you such a great salesman? And when you're selling to somebody, aren't you an orator? Aren't you already trying to body language with? It's not that complicated.
I already gave you one way to record your talk. The second way is sing karaoke.
You got that, Jake?
You got to break through that comfort barrier. You got to stop shitting your pants when you have 150 people in front of you, right?
There's more than that. You already know the words. So you have to concentrate on the gestures. You concentrate on who you are in front of the audience. And if you already know the words, then take the microphone, hopefully it's without wires, and take it out in the audience and sing to people. And I did it on accident one night, and I learned it was like the greatest lesson I ever learned. If you buy my little green book of Getting Your Way, I'll probably send you one. It has in there how I did what I did speaking wise, and it has the lesson of karaoke in there. But you get out and you concentrate on, it's not body language. It's how do you gesture and how do you become acceptable to the audience. And then from there, you basically take risks. I tell salespeople they suck and they love it, but it's the way that I tell them they suck. You can't go out and say, all salespeople pretty much suck. I talk about price is a barrier in sales, not an objection. And I ask them, how many of you have ever gotten a price rejection? And then I ask for audience participation and say, why do you lose a sale to price? And they give me all kinds of, I took the lowest bid, the guy was low. I say, no, the reason you lost a sale to price is because you suck at sales. And it's hysterical every single time because they can't deny it.
So then when you bring it back to Martin Luther King's speech, you're talking exactly what he did. He was basically challenging everybody. And nowadays people would get pissed and they'd be offensive, but the way he did it, he led into it. And it makes sense.
You knew he was a nonviolent character. You knew that he was a person of peace. Mm-hmm. And when he walked across bridges or when he got into town and made protests, he was very silent about he didn't resist arrest. He probably got arrested 25 times. And he just went to jail and was a good guy. And eventually they couldn't do anything about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to pay the dues. The whole deal is you don't get arrested once and then all of a sudden the civil rights movement changes. You become a personality, you become known by your audience, and you become respected. But what I've done, do you make phone calls to get speeches or do you get called?
Well, I'm just talking about speeches in general on YouTube channels. I'm just motivating my students. I'm going to a meetup tonight, a multifamily meetup. Just those kinds of speeches where not even for paid, but just to become a better influencer in the space.
And if you're going to talk about investing, you want to say, look, there's 3 things or there's 4 things you need to do. The quadrant that your guy posted, that's your speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's totally your speech. And all you have to do is come up with 2 or 3 points within each one of those talks and then have a handout and get business cards and be done.
The GDAD really excels when it comes to partnerships. I saw it last year when we were in New York City doing that event. Just kind of a new speech, and he came and he just brought it and was passionate about it. And it's because it's something that we live every day and we do, and it's a little bit different than the way a lot of these other guys invest because they're out there investing in simply syndications, and we kind of did it the hard way. So I think that really resonated, and people, it kind of opened folks' eyes to, hey, this is something different, and it's something that he lives every day. So I think the authenticity makes a big difference. And
you have to have a line about every 2 or 3 minutes in your talk that resonates. So, for example, a lot of people think we're investors in multifamily dwellings. We are not. We are successful investors in multifamily dwellings. There's a big difference.
There's a huge difference.
And so that's a tagline, or that's an impact line that you use in your speech, whether it's at the beginning or at the end or in the middle, wherever it is. But you need a half a dozen of those to be able to make sure the audience resonates with you and wants more info.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal. And I would want to know, okay, so if I'm going to invest in one of your deals, what's my minimum? And what's my expected return? And there you can use humor. We return somewhere between 7.5% and 500%, depending on the time of day and the number of bombs being dropped. And or you can talk about what are you hoping for? What kind of return are you hoping for? Because there's no guarantee. You don't know when the hell the bottom's going to fall out of the market, or it's going to top off, or there's going to be too many multifamily dwellings. If you come to Charlotte, you will see more multifamily dwellings in a 5 square mile area than any place on earth.
They all want to be next to the airport. That's why.
And they're all more expensive than anywhere else right now, too. So think about that.
I think they're the slums of tomorrow, personally. And I don't think that Charlotte's a good bet with respect to making the investment. However, I could be dead wrong because there's 100 people a week moving here.
It's crazy.
And that drives multifamily. People and jobs.
Yep.
We were supposed to be.
And the jobs are here.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody on the street going, I need a quarter.
So we're supposed to be on this podcast talking about a book. You wrote a book?
Hold on. We got to 1 second before we get to the book, because I got his next book or his next program. It's Gitomer on public speaking, reps and review. Just saying, it could sell.
I have a course written on how to write a book and a course written on how to give a speech. Thank you. I just haven't launched them yet. One of my competitors wrote an article and is trying to sell a course on how to write a book, and it's so fucked up and backwards that
Who are you competing with? You're not competing with anybody. You're on Gitomer Island right now.
I don't want to mention any names, but I'm just going to tell you that some people, you have to write a book that's both readable and actionable.
And enjoyable. I think it's got to be enjoyable. I think you have to really like the book. I mean,
I agree. I let's say I would consider readable in that genre. Like if you look at my books, they have full page quotes, they have cartoons, they're designed well. And the Little Red Book, as an example, has sold more than 1 million copies in America, about 5 million copies globally. It's acknowledged as the best-selling sales book of all time. Even the publisher says so. And there's a reason. It's kind of girly. It's got a cloth cover. It's easy to read. When a sales guy who hates to read looks at the book, he goes, I think I can read this. And then they buy it.
I can't even read, and I read it.
It's 14 years
True
old.
Story.
It's 14 years old, and I have not changed one word. I've not edited anything in that book in 14 years. And there's a reason. Why am I going to screw with something that's a classic? It's an all-time classic. So I may write a new edition of the Little Red Book of Selling and include something like email or social media, which is not in there at all. Written in 2004, what the hell was happening then? And the answer is no social media, no Facebook, no YouTube, no LinkedIn, no Twitter, certainly no Instagram.
But that's different, right? That's social strategies. That's social media strategies. Sales strategies, you got to pull those out. And
I don't disagree. My book is written for one-on-one, not social, and people resonate with it. I have literally, thank you. I have hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people that have talked to me and said, when I hire a new person, the first thing I do is give them a Little Red Book.
That is awesome.
This
unbelievable.
Is so impactful to multifamily, Gino. On page 82, it's not work, it's network. Think of how important that is when it comes to multifamily investing. And it's a sales book.
Well, we teach all our students to actually create a meetup. They create a multifamily meetup, get 10 people in a cafe the first time. By the third meetup that you have, if you're doing pretty good, you'll have 30 to 40 people. They'll either want to invest with you, partner with you, bring money. You're positioning yourself as an expert. You're screwing up, but you're having a good time. And that's what I am doing with the student down here. We started with like 10 people. We're up to 35 people. I'm going to go teach tonight, have a fun time, have a good time, do some social media. If you want to get into the social media, do some Facebook Live or whatever, but hone your craft and get out of your comfort zone. I'm not going to sing karaoke tonight. Maybe next month I'll do that.
I'm telling you, Gino, it's freedom. Mm-hmm. You get up there, don't go up and sing Love Shack with 58 people. Go up and sing your own song. Whether it's fast or slow, old or new, sing something that you're comfortable with. And the worse you are, the more applause you get.
I'm going to sing The Godfather, La Lady.
If you freaking blow, they will applaud the hell out of you.
Oh, man. Dude,
you learn how to, first of all, you learn eye contact.
mm-hmm.
Second of all, you learn presentation gestures, because when you're singing, it's not a presentation, it's a performance. And you never want to make a presentation. You always want to make a performance.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually turning out to be a pretty good show, and I haven't even plugged anything yet.
I like that. Well, I want to dive into the book because I was going to a boot camp we had in Atlanta. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there saying, I got to get to the sales manifesto, but he writes this book, Napoleon Hill, Truthful Living. And I want you just to share with the listeners a little bit before we get in the sales manifesto, a little bit about your relationship with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, because that book did so much for my career, and how you got your hands on his first writings for the book, Truthful Living.
I was introduced to Don Green about 15 years ago by Charlie Tremendous Jones at the National Speakers Association annual meeting. That's as many throwaway lines as I can use in one sentence. And I had studied the Think and Grow Rich book in 1972. I read it 10 times with a bunch of salespeople, where we read a chapter a day and did a book report on it every morning. Now, the book only has 15 chapters. So by the end of a year, I'd read the book 15 times, at least 10 times. I don't want to give a number, but at least 10. And after about the third reading, I got it. So I meet Don Green, and I said, listen, I got to figure out some way to thank you and the Napoleon Hill Foundation, because I have permanent positive attitude as a result of several things, but including Think and Grow Rich. And he goes, well, we don't really do. I said, look, do you have a newsletter? And he said, no. I said, well, I will write and create the Napoleon Hill newsletter. And I named it Napoleon Hill Yesterday and Today. And I'll do it on one condition. And he said, well, what's the condition? I said, that you never give me a dime. So now I write this, we create this newsletter, we post it, we get subscribers. We're somewhere between 50 and 100,000 subscribers. I don't know the exact number. And I've been doing it for free for about 12 years. Never asked them for a dime. So I get a call about 3 years ago, and Don Green says, hey, we found the first writings of Napoleon Hill. Would you be interested in editing them and making a book? I go, sure, I would. So I edited and annotated his first writings, which was a course called Truthful Advertising. I took out all the advertising stuff and just left in the foundational personal development stuff, which was called an After the Lesson Visit with Mr. Hill. Because he knew that a salesperson needed personal development in order to be able to be a better salesperson. And it was the foundational work for Think and Grow Rich. So now here I am in my writing room, and I'm alone with the first writings of Napoleon Hill. It's like it's like the Holy Grail for me. And I didn't change any of Napoleon Hill's words. I didn't alter anything. All I did was annotate. So at the beginning of each lesson, I put, here's what's inside. In the middle, if I had to clarify something, because it's 100 years old, I wrote a clarification sentence. And at the end, I wrote how to put this into your life. So I was a genuine annotator. Even though I was an editor, I didn't change his words. And when you look at the table of contents, Chapter 1, Success is Up to You. Chapter 2, Finish What You Start. And Chapter 3, How to Think. I mean, come on. There's nothing more fundamental on the planet than this. And anybody, whether you're in sales or not in sales, whether you're in life, if you're a dad or a mom, you can read this book, resonate with this book, and put it into action. And I feel pretty blessed. I mean, it took me about 2.5 years to put everything together. And I did, and Amazon is my publisher. They're the largest publisher in the world. I read the book. It's ebook, it's audiobook, it's hardbound book, and it's it'll be there for 50 years.
So Jeff, you took the Little Red Book, all the precepts. You say it's timeless. Don't you think you got a lot of that ideas from Napoleon Hill? I mean, basically everything that you got in the Little Red Book working up to it. That's why your book is timeless, correct? A lot of the principles in there really don't change. Your
That's correct. Yeah, there's nothing new in sales. Anything that's out there was written probably before Napoleon Hill. Because if you look in the book, at the end of the book, there's recommended reading by Napoleon Hill. There's a whole page of books that he had in this particular course. And it's all Arson, Sweat, Martin, and people that preceded him that had similar ideas. What happens is they get fleshed out, they get customized, they get personalized. And, I'm a writer who sits and thinks. I don't do research when I write. I've read a lot, but I don't sit there with an open book and look at somebody else's stuff. If I quote somebody else, I acknowledge it, but predominantly I'm writing from my own experience. And it's my experience of how I became positive. It's my experience of how I made sales. I made $1 million sales in New York City on cold calls. And I'll ask the audience, okay, how many of you have made $1 million sales in New York City in a cold call? Raise your hand. And you know what? I'm the only one raising his hand. So I've differentiated myself from the audience, but I've still tried to include them in any way that I possibly can. Yeah, I'll tell you when the audience does raise their hand. How many of you have never tweeted? And somewhere between 70 and 80% of the audience raises their hand every time. Every single time. It's unbelievable.
Mindset.
Totally. So I just finished a piece on mindset because I got a little sick of no one really understanding how to create mindset. Like they'll tell you what you need to focus on. They'll tell you what actions you need to take. But I'm more interested in how do I get into the atmosphere where mindset is possible. Wow. It's not possible when your dog is barking or peeing on the floor. It's not possible when your kid's yelling at you. It's only possible when you spend time alone, by yourself, early in the morning, in a comfortable place where you can think and where you're inspired. So when you come over to my place, you'll see where I create mindset for myself. And I refer to it as mindful. Like I'm mindful of my space, I'm mindful of my time, I'm mindful of my health, I'm mindful of my ending time. Well, how much time am I devoting to myself today? Because on mornings like this morning, it's at 6:30, I got to get my kid ready for school. And I hang out with her, have breakfast with her, walk her to school. Well, I drive, but then I drive a few blocks away and we walk. I don't care if it's raining or sunny. I have a routine, and I want to make sure that I spend quality time with my little daughter. It's fun for me. And we shoot the shit about what's happening in her day. And, Daddy, can Ella come over and play after school? Sure. Can you text her, Dad? Yes, I can. Can you do it right now? Sure, I can. No. Kids are demanding. And if you give them one-on-one time instead of one-on-group time, and you must know this, Gino, better than anybody, because you have a tribe, your kids need attention, and they need direction, and they need help, and they need guidance, and how to treat other people, how to clean your closet. I just bought the book for Gabrielle called Make Your Bed, the military guy. Mm-hmm. And we're going to read it together because I want to make sure that she has some kind of personal self-discipline to be able to grow in the world. And either fortunately or unfortunately, we have a housekeeper. And the housekeeper will pick up after everybody and everything, and she comes home from school and her bed's made. It's like a miracle. So I'm now instructing the housekeeper, you don't make her bed anymore. You want to sleep in a shit bed? Climb in. You want to sleep in a made bed? Make it.
Can I jump in for a second? I have two things on this. I have three things because I actually read the Napoleon Hill, the daily that comes out, and there's one that's come out about your kids and how you need to teach them to work, and that's going to be one of the biggest things that impacts their life. So that's just that came up to my mind. But I love how your daughter is basically selling though, because she's saying that can Ella come over? All right, can you call her right now? She's closing. Right. Kids are the most.
Oh, she closed the deal. Yeah.
People. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's osmosis there. She's picked it up. She introduced me a few weeks ago in front of 500 people. I literally took her out of school for the day, flew her up to Connecticut at some Foxwood, some or other thing. And there were 500 people in the audience, and I got her to introduce me and sell my book.
I love it.
And she's like, "Now I really would like to go to college, and if you all buy a book, that I mean, it's a classic." But she's got the balls. I go, "Gabrielle, you ready?" And I said, "Here's your microphone." And she goes, "Am I going to do a sound check?" Like, what?
It's unbelievable how smart some of these kids are. Saturday, I woke up and going back to what you're saying about mindset and how you create it. Every morning I have the same routine. I'm in the office and and I've realized I actually get myself cranked up and geared up for the day. And it takes a lot. And I have this routine that I nail every day. Saturday morning, about 9 or 10, I was feeling a little bit off and I was trying to place why that was, because it was the weekend and I was slipping and I did not get into my normal routine. I slept in a little longer. So don't discount this and what it takes and the discipline that it takes to create this mindset and how impactful it can be and how much it can change your life, because it takes time. It takes years of dedication to build this up. And even that little slip, I noticed myself feeling differently and I had to get back into my routine. So I just wanted to, point that out because there is something to that.
But Jake, the problem is that people are conditioned to go to work for money. And when you're being mindful and let's say, quote unquote, wasting an hour or two in the morning, which we know it's not a waste, but I know a lot of people think that. They're like, I got to get to work. I got to make money. And if they just change the routine, because being in sales is hard. You're not making a paycheck, right? You're deferring that payment because you have to spend hours cultivating relationships, taking people out and spending time and going. And that's really hard for the average W-2 employee.
You need that internal buffer, that strength to deflect when someone tells you to go fly a kite, fly a kite, fly a kite. You need that mental strength to be able to get past that time and time again as well.
You're an entrepreneur basically when you're a sales guy because you're not getting paid. You're creating your own paycheck. And that's hard for a lot of people to do that. So being mindful and working on yourself is why Napoleon Hill is important, why it's important to read the book that Jeffrey put out, because it's all about how you can make yourself a better person. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And if you're not ready to bring the pain, you're not going to make money, bro. It's as simple as that.
And go fly a kite is not bad advice. It's kind of fun to do, and you're hanging on a beach or on a windy field.
It can wear you down, though, if you get it too much, right? You got to be strong mentally to get past that.
So I skipped something. I skipped what is my morning routine. I wake up in the morning, and I do 5 things. I write, I read, I prepare, and that causes me to think and create. Those are the 5 things that I've done for the last 25 years. Write, read, prepare, think, create. And if you do those 5 things, I've got 15 books. So you can tell me that, oh, my morning routine's not that good, but dude, it's working for me. And the challenge that everybody has is they wake up in the morning and they turn on some stupid ass television show. Are we rated E or what's the deal?
Whatever you want to do, just don't fill your mind with that caca first thing.
Yeah. It's just bullshit that you'd sit down and watch Good Morning America about what somebody else thinks what happened. I'm beyond that. I don't give a shit about that. And I'll find it out in another year or so when it becomes history and the real truth is revealed anyway. So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of I wake up in the morning and I'm all about me. Fuck everybody else. Because if I'm the best person I can be for myself first, then I have a shot at being my best for somebody else.
Everybody else. I love that. That's right. My boy over here sent me over a stupid.
Don't get into it.
And he sends me an email over today about a politician, a 29-year-old politician, and how billionaires are immoral. That set me off this morning.
I'm sorry.
I never look at that stuff, but the stupidity and the way they put morality and money, it just drove me nuts. And for 10 minutes, I was off my game, and it just ruined my whole morning. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Don't even worry about what the hell these people are saying. They have no idea.
Will tell you, and I will tell everybody, go read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, and you will find out that when the entrepreneurs are fighting against the government, eventually the entrepreneurs win. They go through their spells one way or the other, but
Hold on, because we hit this last time, and I don't know where G-Dad is with the book.
Oh, where are you with the book?
Where are you?
It only took you 40 minutes to bring it up. I'm surprised. I'm on page like 550 or 600. I'm trying to do that and reading other books.
We can't ruin it for him. We got to let him. We got to let them go full cycle on this. Before you're not in the club yet, G-Dad. You're close.
Dude, what's amazing about the book is it's so freaking annoying. It's so like I'm reading 2019. What the hell's going on with this equalization crap and the moochers and being fair and morale? They have all the money, but they're telling you how to be moral. Exactly. Reading it's pissing me off. And how Hank Reardon is greedy, but meanwhile, he's like, you don't have to work for me. I'm making billions. I've put 10 years of my life into this steel. This is my company. This is my lifeblood. Who are you to tell me that I have to sell it to you for a certain price? Take the damn company, right? And it was just enlightening to me. It was just awesome. These guys have a higher purpose. It's not about profit for him. It's about his baby. And I think that's where we all want to resonate. We all want to create something great, help people out. And at the end of the day, if we make money, that's great. Money's not the cause. Money's the result. And that's why these guys make a shit ton of money. Because you think Bezos cares about money. He cares. He's creating a beast. He's taking every freaking thing over. And that's what he is. So the more money he makes, the more people have Amazon Prime and can get a book for 24 hours later, free shipping. You think he's helping a lot of people out? So if he makes,
you think he's employing a lot of people? You think those governments want those jobs coming to their city? It's just
and luckily, right, exactly. And luckily, based on divorce laws, half of a bundle is still a bundle.
It's still a lot of money.
What an idiot.
You don't have to be smart to make money. He's got balls. He's taking a chance, and he saw it 20 years ago. This is 20 years in the making. So he hasn't. I don't even know if the company's ever made money. I don't know what the hell the profits the companies are, but he's just taking over industries and he's just going for it. That's the way.
Guys, I want to pull a quote from Jeffrey's sales manifesto, because he just one of the things that we were just touching on was the preparation. And on page 100, he says, "You don't get great at sales in a day. You get great at sales day by day." And I just challenge everyone to commit and take the long view to whatever you choose to do, because this shiny object crap that people run around and chase from thing to thing, you got to commit and you got to put the work in. And that's that preparation. That's that mindset every day. And I'm very proud to say that, early on in my career, I got on things like Atlas Shrugged. I got with the Little Red Book of Selling and Positive Mental Attitude that I learned from this man. So these are the type of things that if you put in practice and you're disciplined day in and day out, will make a huge difference on your life. Period.
You have to do it daily. The key is consistency. If you only do it, you can't have an apple once a month. It's an apple a day. And you can't have 31 apples at the end of the month either. You get sick. So you have to put it in perspective of you do a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and all of a sudden it manifests itself. And you guys look at your own growth. You didn't start out with 10 buildings. You started out with 1 unit. And then it grows, and then it grows, and then it grows. And it's a day-by-day thing. And you learn the lessons along the way, hard and easy. You make a bad turn, or you throw away a few bucks. But the bottom line is you keep going. And for me, when I start out in the morning, I'm all about me. And I'm all about me, and I'm excited about it. I have a library full of books that inspires me to be able to get to the next plateau. And I do it. And I'm not going to watch something stupid that wastes my time and wastes my life, especially at my age when time is a real bomb for me. I have to take advantage of literally of every minute and still be the best I can be for other people.
But Jeffrey, isn't that also one of the reasons why you're so successful, is because you're happy and you love what you're doing? I mean, Could you do anything but sales? I mean, but people miss that point because they're like, I can't do my passion, or I can't do what I love, or I can't put energy because I have to go pay the bills. I got to put food on the table. And that's such a cop-out. I mean, I use that excuse too for years.
Yeah, but you're not positive when you're doing that. It's like, I love to feed my family, and I love what I do. So it's really not work.
How you look
I just parenthetically, I just did a seminar for a pretty big company, and the CEO of the company filled out the form online at 11:45 at night. And I got notified, and I called him at 10 of 12. And we had a deal by 12:15 in the morning. You know how cool that was to tell his salespeople who want to go home at 5 o'clock because they got kids and bullshit? Like, you make a sale when it's time to make a sale. Don't give me the bullshit of, well, I only work 9 to 5. The person with that mentality loses every single time.
Right back to mindset.
Exactly. They don't pay me enough to, and whatever you say next is wrong. In fact, in Napoleon Hill's, in one of the later chapters where he comes up with the 5-point rule, one of them is give more service than you're paid for.
That quote is on my LinkedIn, and it's been there for like 10 years.
It's the best quote on the planet. To serve is to rule. 5,000-year-old ancient Chinese proverb. And that's how I live my life. I love doing random acts of kindness for other people. I love serving other people. People go, I don't want to inconvenience. I'm not inconvenienced. I'm having fun. If I was inconvenienced, I'd tell you to fuck off. And I think that's the way you have to live your life, especially like I was in New York last week, and it's different there. People kind of serve with disdain, and it's very transactional. Like, I'll try to make friends with somebody. I'll be in a Starbucks, and it's my turn, and I'll say, hey, how's it going? What do you want? Like,
you're wasting time.
Right, exactly.
You're wasting my time.
Like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? They don't want to know how it's going.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody right behind you. There's somebody right behind them. There's somebody right behind them. It's crazy. And you have to get out of that environment in order to enjoy what you're supposed to enjoy in life. You become way too jaundiced about things and way too cynical about things. And we have a producer for the show, Nada Edwards, and Nada is from Long Island, but lives in Charlotte. Any kind of difference? Yeah, just a little bit of difference. Okay, cool.
You know what's crazy, Jeffrey? What's crazy is that my kids realize this because we moved down to Florida a year and a half ago. So you can't go to the post office without the lady speaking to everybody, right? And as a New Yorker, the first 6 months, I was like, come on, dude, I got to get to where I'm going. And now it's like, okay, I plan an extra 15 minutes because I'm going to be there. And my kids see how nice everybody is down here. They go out of their way. They actually wave to you. They actually care about you, right? Even at Starbucks. And then when you go back up to New York, it's like, Dad, what's going on? I'm like, that's just the way it is. That's why I want to be around that. So sometimes look around your surroundings. Take a look. I mean, for 8 million people, it's the loneliest freaking city in the world. No one makes eye contact with you. They're all running over you. It's like, really? It's weird.
My fiance, Jennifer, we were living in New York City and in Charlotte. And when she finally moved down to Charlotte, we're in the grocery store and I'm walking down the aisle and I say hello to somebody. And she goes, we pass him and she goes, do you know him?
I knew that's what you
I said, no, I don't know him. Well, what are you talking to him for? Because that's what people do here. They say hello. Really? She hasn't started. She's only been here for 5 years. She'll start soon.
It tripped my wife out so much when we first moved to Tennessee because everyone in our neighborhood waved to you when you drove by.
Yeah.
When you're walking was waving. She's like, what the hell's going on? They don't know us.
Yeah, it is a little nutty. But I would prefer to live in a friendly community.
Hell yeah.
And I don't want to necessarily know my neighbors intimately. I'm not going to invite them over for bacon and eggs. But I'll say howdy. I'll, ask them, how's it going? Depending on what kind of football gear they're wearing, I might have a comment or two. And it's fun.
Jeffrey, I part of my routine this morning, I was thinking about the show today, and there's a few questions that I wanted to get out of you
Sure.
that I think will benefit folks. You get a lot of young, hungry guys, especially coming on and asking us questions. So what would be the best tip for, say, somebody just coming out of college? They went to college, and it turned out they really got a degree that was worthless, okay?
And they're selling Xerox copiers.
Maybe.
Yeah, because they wanted to be a marine biologist, but now they're selling Xerox.
Exactly. So what would be the best tip for that person to get them to the next level? Because they want to be successful, but they're like, shit, now what do I do?
Okay. The first thing you do is make a list of 10 things that you really love. 10 things that you love to do. Maybe it's playing hockey. Maybe it's playing backyard basketball. Maybe it's taking a hike. Whatever it is that you love to do, list that. And then next to it, list 10 possible jobs that you could have that would relate to that. And maybe it's something easy like working in an REI store if you like hiking. Or maybe it's running a hiking group, or maybe it's, whatever it is, make a list of the jobs next to the things that you love and see if any of them in the third column can pay you enough to do whatever it is that you're trying to do or achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. But there's a danger. Some people take a job and then they do what is now euphemistically called a side hustle. When I was growing up, it was called a second job. What do I know, right? So they have this side hustle, and that's really what they love to do. So screw your job. Go take a risk and go out and do it. Otherwise, you're screwed. You'll always have a side hustle. You'll never make enough money. You'll always hate your job. You'll always hate your boss. You'll always hate your life. And then you go home to your kids. I got to work my ass off. If my fucking boss doesn't understand me. You see what I have to do? Don't you do this, kid. Don't do what I do. And then he swags down a shot of whiskey.
Can I prove your point?
Yeah.
I was in college, was going to be a gym teacher. Didn't know what else to do, grew up in a small town, and I played football. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to be a gym teacher. And I went to school. Absolutely hated it. I went, and the kids didn't want to play dodgeball. They didn't want to play football. I said, what the hell am I doing? And I had this epiphany. I was driving back one day. My side hustle, I was working in a commission-based sales job at Radio Shack, crushing it. And you know what? Had a call with my dad on the ride back to school. He said, well, you know what? I got these guys that they sell, pharmaceuticals. I think they're doing okay. If you really like the sales thing, let's see what you can do with it. I said, screw it. I cut a semester off of school, got a basic bachelor's degree because that was entry level, got an additional sales job in cell phones, ended up in the pharmaceutical world, and that was it. And that launched my career. And it was based on that side hustle that I actually enjoyed doing. So
if you have a side hustle and you enjoy it, then quit your hustle and go and make it a main gig. There's so much written about side hustles right now. It makes me throw up.
Yeah, it's a catchy term. It's a little catchy.
Wait, but it's not a side hustle. It's a diversion of your time from your prime goal.
It sells Uber, right? It's to sell more Uber is what it's for, I think, right?
Oh, to drive an Uber for a while?
Make money on Uber. That's what I want. How does a driver make money in Uber? I can't figure that out. I mean, it's $7. How do they make money, Jeffrey? You're the
I don't know, but I ask every guy if he's making enough, and they go, yeah. Especially, I'll tell you where they're tunning it. They're tunning it in Key West because you don't have to go very far, and the fares are high. So these guys can make $500-600 a day at Uber, and so you make $2,500 a week. It's money.
So what's great was we were in Atlanta last week at the boot camp, Jake. Remember, and I had my 16-year-old son came with 40 students there. He's learning multifamily. Every time we got into an Uber, I would just start up a conversation. I'm down south. So what do you do for a living? Half of the Uber drivers are all college educated. They all have 4-year degrees, great schools. And so I said to my son, you don't need to go to college and get $100,000 in student debt. You drive an Uber.
Did you say it in front of the Uber driver?
Well, I waited till I got out of the car. I made sure he heard that. I made sure that he understood that you don't have to go to college if you don't want to. I want you to go to college. I will pay for it. I will help you pay for it. I want you to get that experience, but you don't need it because a lot of them are driving Uber right now and, working in Starbucks. So that was an amazing epiphany for me that last week.
Yeah, Starbucks. You have to know English fluently. That's part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be smarter than the cash register or the steering wheel. Those are the two things. If you're going to be a Starbucks person, you got to be smarter than the cash register. If you're an Uber driver, you got to be smarter than the car.
For the time being.
What a Tesla. I am not smarter than the car.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That car is unbelievable. And I'm starting to ask audiences who owns a Tesla because it's the future. You're not going to put gas in your car in 10 years, period.
Why 10? Why not 5? That's what annoys me. We should be doing
I did it. I'm talking about the average person who now has a car.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to get another car. Some people keep their cars for 5 years. And every company in America is gearing up to produce electric cars. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
From Cadillac down to Chevy. You're going to get an electric kind of car and you plug it in and it works. So we're in our garage. We have an 84-unit condo building and we're trying to get a power station put in for our car so we can charge it in the garage. And I'm saying to the guy that's running the building, don't give it to me. Do it for the whole building. Because in 5 years, half the people are going to have electric cars. Half of them.
That's an amenity, especially in Charlotte. Yeah.
It is now, but I'm telling you, do you want to pay $2 a gallon, $3 a gallon to put gas in your car every week? That's bullshit. That is total bullshit. And the only people against electric cars are gas manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Or internal combustion engine makers. But that technology is as over as the fax machine. It's totally over.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Exactly. So I'm looking at it, in your show, you're ahead of technology. You're pushing the next investment that's relatively safe and sound. There's solid history to prove that it's worth, and literally there's not a lot of people that are doing it yet. So you're in an industry where you're a leader, you're forefront, and people respect what it is that you're doing. And they show up at meetings and they write you checks, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal. And it seems as though there's enough out there for a lot of people to take advantage of it. I mean, I'm a real estate owner. I totally believe in real estate. I think it's the greatest investment on the planet because it's stable over a long period of time. And eventually, if you have a mortgage, you own it. If you make the payments on time, you don't get it repoed. But I think that there's an opportunity for every single person to look at what they're earning right now, question, do they love what they're doing? And if they don't, go figure something else out. Life's too short to hate it. The three of us get along well because we love what we do.
That's true.
It almost doesn't matter what we do.
I like being happy.
Yeah. Well, the alternative is being pissed off. And if you want to be pissed off, become a politician or move to Manhattan. How's the Sherpa thing doing, Jake?
I'm telling you right now, when you get your Sherp in the mail, and we're gonna pull this through, we're gonna make it happen. It's gonna take you to the next level. You're talking about your fiance. She's gonna be saying, Jeffrey, can you put that Sherp on? Can I snuggle up to you when you got?
Oh my God!
We're going next level with this, and it's just look. It's about your network, right? We were just talking about your network, and little things come out. I learn a little bit from you. You learn a little bit about Sherpa from me, and good things happen. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
All right, cool. As long as New England doesn't win the Super Bowl, I'm happy.
One more question for you, and I was thinking about this morning, talking about Jeff Bezos. Successful entrepreneurs, do they need to be good at sales?
If you're not, you die. You can have the greatest idea and invention in the world. If you can't sell it, it's going to sit there. And not only successful as a salesperson for your product, but successful to communicate your ideas and to get buy-in from what it is that you're trying to convey to the public. There's all kinds of things that necessitate being not just a salesperson, but being convincing and being passionate about how you present your message. If you can't do that, if you're not convinced, if your belief system's not deep enough, you're not going to win.
On the Gitomer scale of 1 to 10, how good of a salesperson was Steve Jobs?
10.
All day, every day, pulling it through. That guy was a master and presenter, correct?
Yeah. And he had the surprise move at the end. He did a Columbo thing. Oh, by the way, I have one with me. And
it's just an iPhone or something, right?
He changed the technology world. He changed how music is sold and how phones are operated. I mean, there were companies before him that would have been in business for 100 years. It's unbelievable what happens in today's world when people are dedicated to building their business. And there's a fact. We were talking about Uber before. Uber has a larger market cap than Hertz. Hertz has been in business for 75 years and they own like 1 million vehicles. Uber doesn't own jack shit. They don't have one employee. They don't own one car, and they're bigger than Hertz.
And same with Airbnb and all the hotels.
Yep.
Same technology platform. They own nothing, and they're freaking more valuable than Hilton and all those other major players. Yes.
It's unbelievable. And I'm a big proponent of Airbnb. And the reason that they're winning, they're winning when the other guy tries to sue you for what you're doing.
That's right. I love that. You're right. And Boston's doing it. Everyone's doing it. That's right. They want
that's a James Taggart move right there, Gino.
Exactly. It is a James Taggart move. And here's the deal. Not only is it the taxi companies are suing Uber. All kinds of companies are suing the Tesla because you can buy a car online. You can buy a car for $100,000 online, Never talk to anybody. And the car shows up at your door. Think about that in Chevy, where you're haggling with somebody for $100 to try to get a better deal from a car salesperson that smells like a cigarette.
Let me go talk to my dad. I'll be right back. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Let me talk to my daddy. It's unbelievable, and it's changing. If you've been down any main street in any city, there's a Carvana vending machine.
Yeah.
And my daughter bought one. They kiss your ass. They bring it to your house. You have to buy the car, and then you can drive it for a week and return it if you want to. They'll give you your money back. But they loved it. They totally loved the experience and the deal. It's a changing world. And bad salespeople are being eliminated from it.
And if you ain't changing, you're dying.
It's one of those two things. If I was a car salesperson right now, I'd find another line of work.
They can't sell you Lexuses anymore.
The minute they put the buy now button into that process, every car sales guy is dead.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a question. To differentiate yourself, you can still bring value. If you're talking about being a commodity salesperson, but if you're being a salesman and bringing value and actually sitting you in the car, showing you how to use it, letting you bring it home, letting you try.
No argument with that.
And the long-term view on that is used car sales.
And even realtors, Jeffrey, let's say realtors don't need the 5 or 6%. But if I'm a realtor who has a pest control, a radar, an electrician, a plumber, an inspector, and I'm going to sell your house, I've got this whole plan. So if you need something, you can pull from my resources. I'm still worth 5%, but I have to show you that I'm worth 5%. I mean, so let's not.
I agree.
You're not a commodity at that point. You're actually a resource at that point. So I think that the people who can buck up the 10% are going to survive. The 90% are going to die. So,
and if you're a real estate salesperson, you need to change your patter. When you take somebody out to a home inspection tour, let's tour the home. Don't tell me this is the master bedroom. I can kind of get that. Don't tell me this is the walk-in closet. I can kind of get that. Why don't you ask me, turn to the woman and say, will all your clothes fit in this closet? Because if they won't, we're going to a different house. And you can curtail that tour in 9 seconds.
So shouldn't you already know a lot of information before you even make the tour? I mean, like we're renting out apartments. We have a 2-bedroom apartment. We're going to bring somebody to look at a 2-bedroom. Shouldn't we know that they have one kid, they're in the school system, maybe they need that extra bedroom because they're divorced and the daughter's got to stay over in the apartment? And shouldn't you know a lot of that stuff? And that's being prepared, correct?
Do you teach people how to rent apartments as well?
We do. Our training program is early on, and it's something we're developing right now. We have, one training program per year for the staff. So there's something to, there's work to be done, to say the least, but we're working on it.
I did, just parenthetically, one of my customers did lease-up programs for apartment houses at least the last 10%, which is where the profit is.
Yes.
And I have a lot of information so I can help you. On your day with Gitomer, I'll help you with that as well.
Nice. Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate that.
Well, don't worry. You'll write a check.
So
that's part of the Atlas Shrugged way.
Hey, it's gotta make money too, right?
Yeah, but I would love to I would love to have you guys here. We'll do live in the studio. We'll go one-on-one with things. It'll be fun.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
But to make sure we get some of those checks in, where can folks go to get a copy of the Sales Manifesto?
Just go to Amazon and type in Jeffrey Gitomer and you'll win. Or type in Sales Manifesto or Little Red Book and you'll win. Go to Amazon.com. We have a learning academy, GitomerLearningAcademy.com. You can go there, maybe stick it in the show notes. And it will teach you everything you need to know about sales, from having an assessment to getting certified. And we're having a good time with it. Everything that we're doing right now, the economy is booming. And for obvious reasons, it's booming in our direction, and we're very grateful for it.
It's on fire right now. I mean,
totally.
It's Knoxville is. Right.
Yep, it's totally nuts.
Well, Jake, this is where I normally try to wrap up the show, but I don't know what the hell we talked about. We talked about Martin Luther King. We talked. I don't know what. So I'm going to let Jeffrey give some actionable steps, because I always like to see.
Jeffrey, take us home is what he's saying. Take us home.
Cool.
With the speech.
Turn your side hustle into your main hustle. Love what you do, or get the hell out of it. respect other people, visit New York City and try to make cold calls there and make sales. That'll teach you a lesson in life. And if I eat dessert first. I'm teaching my little girl to eat dessert first. Daddy, can we get dessert? Yep, go for it. People don't have room for dessert. What the hell is that? Like, I make room for food, but I eat dessert.
Might as well enjoy it.
Well, it's funny when I go to a restaurant and I order dessert and they're like, what? Well, yeah, give me a piece of pie and then I'll order food.
I got to try that. My kids will be like all on the bandwagon on that one. So that'd be
just you know what? Make it a day of the week, Gino. Make like Friday is eat dessert first day.
Yeah, that is awesome, Jake. I like that one. They're going to love me.
He's going to be the most popular man in St. Augustine after that statement.
Well, you'll be the only man in St. Augustine under 50. In the meantime, I appreciate my friendship with you. I'm hoping that we can continue it more in depth. And thank you very much for having me on your show.
It was great. I didn't even feel like a show. I just want everyone to go out there and seriously, if anyone's in sales or is an entrepreneur or is looking to learn sales, it's all about creating the craft. We're not born as salespeople. I always thought you were born a salesperson or
you learn how to sell. You're born with the gift of gab, but you learn how to sell. It's a science.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Sales Manifesto and Sell or Die podcast. Don't forget that one. Jeffrey, it's been real. Appreciate your time.
Jake, Gino, later. Thanks.
Thank you.
Out.